What's going on? Happy Saturday. Today is officially Saturday. I don't necessarily know what y'all expected me to say, some grand announcement or something. You know what? It is a grand announcement. I wore a very obscure color just to show off my chest definition, and I'm hoping that a man's show will enjoy it. Anyway, I'm Phil Jones, or Mike Jones, however you guys know me personally and professionally, and I am the host of the Extraordinary Man podcast. And today we have the greatest co-host on the face of the planet. I shouldn't have to introduce either one of these gentlemen to y'all, but just in case that I do, I'm going to open the floor to allow them to introduce themselves. So please, to my whatever direction that you are, sir, please introduce yourself and pass
What
the mic
is
on.
going on, man? What's going on? I'm happy to be back for another classic Extraordinary Man show. The first lady just popped in. What is going on, Keita? Everybody, I am Midas. Make sure you put a king in front of that. Let's go.
All right. My name is Marvin Holman. And, been a minute, but we in action. Let's get it on.
Let's go.
All right, all right. So, anybody who caught the title, if you get triggered at any point in time when you see the title, thank me. I wrote it. But the point of this podcast, as we've said on many occasions, is that we give perspective on men's lives, men's issues, topics from a man's perspective. And at no point in time is anything that we're saying to exclude a woman, but it's to give a man's point of view. This is very much of a hey, you sit and you listen as we deliver, and let's exchange in the form of allowing us to tell you what it is that we think, how it is that we feel, and so forth. So, in the spirit of keeping things true to their nature, today we're going to have a conversation where we're going to go a little bit deeper into the concepts of what manhood is. Now, as we stated before, manhood is based on a perspective. Everybody might not agree with each other's perspective, but at the end of the day, there are some consistencies amongst the spectrum to where most men can agree that there are some things that are respectable amongst men, and there are some things that are absolutely no-nos amongst men to where we can't respect you, even look at you, or call you a man in any context of the word. So anybody can jump in. Let's talk about some of those things that we value amongst each other when it comes down to the concept of manhood.
Well, in my opinion, uh, being being a man has a false narrative behind it that's been created by women. So, because all of a sudden there's this new breed of dude that is more concerned with chasing women than handling business. So they don't even know what it really is. In my opinion, being a man is knowing and accepting that you're gonna go through this shit. You know what I'm saying? And that stuff, pardon me, that's going to you're gonna have to endure things that no one's gonna understand. No one's gonna be there for. You can try to talk. You can talk to your guys and all of that, but all your guys will tell you the same thing. We It means that you have to go with the fact that you're gonna be called out for not being a man, for doing man things, uh, standing on decisions that need to be made. They'll call you the B word. You know what I mean? It's all types of stuff that comes with it. It's being able to make these hard decisions for the greater good of your family, knowing that there may be a better decision for yourself, but you make the right decision for everybody. It's being all inclusive for you, responsible for everything. Anything goes wrong in that house, it's your fault, even if it's not your fault. Understanding that and owning that. That's a big part of manhood, being able to make the world turn without, freaking, you know, complaining about things that, it's a big umbrella when you talk about manhood, because that goes from everything from working and providing down to being able to keep your cool in certain situations, being able to make decisions that are detrimental to life, being able to understand that even when they're telling you you're wrong and you're right, to stand on it, being able to go against your family, your everything. Being a man is being able to tell the people you look up to that they wrong when it come to your family and standing on it, even if the whole world tell you that you wrong. So it's like it's very very big. It's a big category, and most people not cut out for it. They're non-confrontational, and I'm not saying to be a man you have to be confrontational, but to an extent, to be a man you have to be confrontational, or the world will run over you. It's admitting that when you get pulled over, you might die in certain instances. Not just because you're black, but also, which is a thing, but also because if a police officer puts you in a compromising position where you feel like you need to defend your family, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? So you know it's being able to really really accept the responsibilities that, hey, no matter what's going on in this house, it's your responsibility to die first if something go wrong. You can't accept that. You can't. If you get mad at your lady, that man's still gonna do his responsibilities around the house. It's only one group of people who cut their responsibilities off and stop doing stuff because they mad. Them women. That's not men. Men, I could be mad at my job. I could hate my boss. I'm gonna show up though. I could hate the word Tuesday when Tuesday come. I'm not gonna say it's Wednesday because I don't like Tuesday though. You see what I'm saying? And I would say the biggest part is just being able to bear the responsibilities and move, making proper decisions. There we go.
You said a lot of stuff in there. A lot of stuff. One of the things that I take the most out of when you gave your definitions, the fact that understanding that you have to stand on what you stand on. That if you have something that you believe in, that regardless of the outward opinion of what you stand on, you have to be man enough to stand up and say, that's my stance and I'm sticking with it. I think that one of the things that a lot of guys that I've met have a hard time doing is that they try to appease all the different sides. I try to be one way with this group of people in this way. Like you know that I'm cool with everybody type of person. You can't be cool with everybody. You got to have a definitive stance in many cases on where you stand when it comes down to certain topics. It's just like if you know somebody that's a chomo, well, he ain't never did nothing to my kids, so I'm cool with it. Yeah, that doesn't go. That doesn't work. Now, whether you look at it as if it's a psychological issue or you look at it as if somebody who should be ostracized from society, that's your personal thing. However, as a man with children, I'm not going to take a chance. So either you stand on your principles or you don't stand on your principles. I look at things to where, based on some of the attributes of what you said, it's just kind of like you have to be defiant. You have to go against the grain because at the end of the day, what kind of man does not carve his own path? What kind of man doesn't desire his own destiny, that doesn't desire to do things at his own free will? There's times that me and Midas will have conversations, deep introspective conversations at that. And he'll have a very, very strong position on stuff. And I'll just sit there and I'll look. I'm like, you know what? I completely disagree with you, but I respect your position. I respect your ability to feel that way.
Just like that.
And the thing is that it's not an argument, it's not a fight because I don't want to change your mind because what you believe has been working for you and got you the results that it got you. But you have to create that balance with people to say, you know what, that works for you, but I don't think that that's what I want to do. I don't think that that's where I want to be, or I'm not at that place to where I can see that the same way that you do. So we may can revisit this once I get there. But right now, that sound crazy or that sound whatever it sound. But I still say it in a way to where there's respect at the end of the day. I think that's another real big one is respect. How we give it, how we get it. I think that that's the biggest thing with us that people don't understand the fact that I know men in my lifetime that have taken lives over something like respect. And I don't think that people understand that. Like women, other men, whatever happens, that the whole like there's a lustful desire for emasculation to make another man seem inferior in your presence. I don't know. Maybe I'm going a little too off the deep end. I don't know. What you guys think?
So you guys definitely touched on a lot of, key points. Marvin definitely, with standing your ground, believing in what you believe in, saying and standing on your morals and principles that you have for yourself. And you Mike bringing in the aspect of respect, so you guys definitely touched on a lot of things. I think that what it really needs to boil down to is not only having these morals and values, but really taking into an effect or account of, do these morals and values that you stand on, are they actually really working for you? And that's something that we need to evaluate as men as well. So if your particular outlook on this particular situation or that situation, if that's something that's really working in your favor, definitely stand on it. If what you believe in and what you standing on isn't turning out to be what you think it is, then you need to go back and reevaluate that rule. Maybe you need to add something more to it, or maybe you just need to get rid of the rule altogether and inject another rule. Uh, I don't know. Everybody has their own, thoughts and beliefs on certain things. But I think at the end of the day, um, what's really important is your stress level, being able to understand certain situations and coming up with an educated resolution for said situation to get yourself back into a positive, stance on something or a positive situation. um i think that I think what happens is that men push our own happiness and our own sense of sanity to the side. Not a lot, I think most of the time. And I think that in order for us to operate in a state of being the man, that not only do we want individuals that we love and care about the most to see us in a certain way, we want to see ourselves in a certain way. And in order for us to do that, is we really have to take care of us first, to be honest. You know, I get that we have these responsibility, and that doesn't say that we need to negate the fact that we have that said responsibility. We got kids, we got work, we got bills, we got everything that needs to be done. But at the end of the day, if you can't operate in your optimum manliness that you feel is your optimum, how can you operate at the optimum for somebody else? And I think that's really important. We really need to dig deep and focus on that. And we need to be in a stable state of mind. We need to be in a stressless state of mind in order for us to operate in the best manhood way possible. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but what I'm saying is understood. What do you think?
I agree with you. Because to an extent, uh, we always like to know we did a good job, and if the family
Yes.
protected and provided for it, I did a good job. I can want to go to Miami Beach with a bunch of fine model women, and you know, kick it in hot tubs and drink. Well, I don't know, read the Bible, whatever. I want to,
Mhm.
and I could have the money to do this. I could have the status to do this and all of that, but I'm going to take my family to Disney World instead. You see what I'm saying? Because That's a bigger memory for me, and I'm gonna feel way better, nigga. I mean, such and such, and the rest of y'all, I in gender inclusive. I brought my family to Disney World. I'm gonna be bragging like that to everybody from everywhere. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, I do not know how to say it. It's an accomplishment. There you go. So we take pride in our accomplishments. We like to point at stuff. I look at your videos. You be big job. Look at this. Look what I did. Look what I did with these hands. Look at this. And it's something to be proud of. So when you look at a man's family, you look at his lifestyle, it's all about that. It's all about uplifting and bringing everything up to be something proud of that you can brag about and be happy about. Hey, look, I bought a house. Hey, look, got a dope car. Hey, look at my new contraption that I got. Look what I can do. Look what I just did with my hands. Look how this works. So while doing this, we're teaching the kids how to do this stuff with their hands, that they should be proud of their accomplishments. But then you have these people that claim, that they're haters, but they claim that you're bragging because they don't have what you have, or because they didn't do what you did. You you're arrogant. You're bragging. Those are your haters. We don't we know we're not, what I'm saying, doing something right if you don't have a few of those. And it's like, we have to be men and teach our kids, hey, look, that guy over there saying you're bragging, don't feel bad about your accomplishment. You have a right to feel proud about things that you have done that are good. So, yes, we push our happiness to the side to make others happy, because when others are happy, it makes us feel more accomplished. If I got my girl running around talking about my man put me in a house, my man put me in this, my man do this, he a big wig up here, he do this, his job is that, I'm walking around with my chest puffed out. Or you could be, man, that man, he don't do nothing. He sits down all day on the sofa. And you could be that nail salon guy that they talk about. Don't nobody want to be that.
Nail salon guy.
Everybody going down the line talking about what they guys did while they getting pedicures, and they get to you and you like, oh yeah, he still ain't got no job, y'all. We trying to figure. It's embarrassing. I know it is. It gotta be. They can never convince me that it's not embarrassing to sit there and tell your girls that your man a bum. They can't.
or the fact that she might have to lie about it so that she can
Oh, that's worse. That's horrible. Like, she got to lie. Like, you real life 40 working at Walmart. Like, oh no, she ain't gonna tell nobody that.
Hey man, he might be a manager.
No, I'm not talking about the manager. I'm talking about a bad
no,
girl.
not the minute. Yeah, the
I
cart
was,
pusher.
I was trying to give him some
No,
credit
You
there.
know,
no,
and
that's
it's no
that's the lie
and
shit.
it's no smite against those
That,
positions, but those are
no,
more from like
might has hit it already. That's
entry
the lie
level.
she gonna tell. That's the lie. When she say he's still working at Walmart, girl. Yeah, he a manager now though. Lying. That's that lie part you was talking about, where they gotta lie about it.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, he's
Yeah,
still
he a
at
store
Walmart.
manager now though.
No, he ain't. He pushing cars outside, but
No, he manages to get to the store every day without a car.
no,
Okay,
with your car, borrowing your car. Okay, I'm done.
sitting on the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at somebody.
Ah,
Nah, anyway, so let's go ahead and delve a little deep. So hold on one second. I gotta put my thinking cap on.
wait, let me get it ready.
Oh,
There it is.
gotta. Oh, sorry.
It ain't the thinking cap.
The thinking cap.
Gotta put my thinking cap on, guys. All right. So for those who don't know, this is called the thinking cap. Pretty soon we'll make these available for sale for our patrons, for the people who actually rock with us the long way, the for real way, and not just the passerby way. Whether you rock with us in passing or so religiously, that's your choice. However, we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Now, what I will say, I'm going to ask a question. Now, I'm going to ask a question, and I'm not really concerned about people's feelings when I ask it because I think that it's important and it needs to be asked. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
And I need a response from each of
Oh,
y'all about this question.
okay.
3 characteristics of a man that you respect. Short answers only. Either one can start.
First and foremost, a teacher. Can I learn something from this man? Uh, whether it be how to build myself up as a person, whether it be morals and values, that's probably the same thing, or something that I can help feed myself, and then I can translate into feeding my family. Is he a great teacher? Another one is he respected amongst his community and peers? You know, when he's outside, are all the neighbors waving hi, hey, hello, what's up? When he goes to the grocery store, is he cool with the managers and everybody there? Is he cool with the pastor in his community? Is how well respected is he as a man? um and three, let me see, we got teacher, we got outstanding figure, and then uh overall, if he's a father, how well is he with his children? How does his children respond to him? How was he with his wife? You know what I'm saying? How is his character and morals and everything with when it comes to his own family? Those would be the top three for me.
Okay. Top, you said three words. I got dependable, discipline, and focus. Dependable, discipline, and focus. A man with those three traits can almost conquer anything. You dependable, that means you trustworthy, you come through, you can do what needs to be done. That I can depend on you to do the right thing even when nobody's looking. It goes hand in hand with integrity. Focus means you have a
We lost you, buddy. Let's give him a second.
All right.
It looked like your voice tried to pop back in. All right, we're gonna spin a block on you, big dog. All right, there
okay.
you go.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if you're dependable, that means people can depend on you to get things done. It means that, it's not a question. When it comes to your name, it's not, oh, he do this, if it is. That means you that guy. If you focus, that means you got a mission. That means that you can make sure that things get completed in a certain way, that you can focus on objectives and complete goals, which makes your decision making skills with those three things, your decision making skills should be impeccable. And if they're not, you have the drive and the focus and the determination and the discipline to get yourself out of anything you do. If you go into a bad investment and it bring the family down, you have because it was a bad investment. You have the discipline to know what you need to do, go do everything that needs to be done in order to minimize the effects of your bad decision. And you know how to own those decisions because you see what I'm saying? You're already there. You have to own those decisions. You're able to do all of that because you have the discipline, because you have the focus, because you're dependable. All these things go hand in hand. If you ask anybody right now what they're looking in a significant other, dependable is on the list. If you ask any man, is dependability a big part of manhood? They're all gonna say yeah. Well, mine is like the son, the rest of the other guys, the son, husbands, and all of those
The
guys.
husband, the husband, yeah.
Those guys.
And I think, you know what I'm saying, to add, put a little bit more sauce on them ribs. So what you were saying as far as he made a bad investment and able to do what is necessary, become disciplined, is actually learning from the mistake, and saying minimizing the damage, but learning from the mistake, and then making sure that not only do you learn from the mistake, that you actually utilize what you learned to start moving in a different direction, instead of trying to do the same thing, expecting a new result, which is the definition of insanity. So definitely actually learning from the mistake and utilizing that and moving forward.
I like it.
What you got, Jones?
I wanted to clearly articulate my position, so I'm trying to write it and then I put it out there.
Okay.
All right.
I actually appreciate you um taking the time to actually write down so that your thought process is very clear. Like I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I do appreciate you appreciating it. It's just a matter of traits that I like to see in people. I try to exemplify those traits as I've seen them acted out with others. And it just kind of goes back to that old school thought process of thinking before you speak. So it's like in my mind, I can hear it, I can see it, but I can't clearly articulate it the way I want to. So now it takes me this many words to say this many things. And
Hmm.
sometimes just narrowing down the clutter will help you get through those processes. But anyway, number one is how do you treat those who aren't as successful as you? So that concept of do I treat the CEO with the same respect? Do I treat the janitor with the same respect that I treat the CEO? Tells me a lot about your character. Tells me a lot about who you are as a person because of the
Hmm.
fact that you have a universal respect for people, regardless of what they do or regardless of status. And it also shows that you're comfortable in who you are as a man. You're not trying to find a way to belittle other people or try to dim somebody else's light to make yourself look brighter. Another one is how do you deal with criticism / are you self-aware? One of the things that I notice about a lot of the male ascension or our rites of passage is that we have to accept the fact that there's a lot of Simba Pinocchio lessons that we learn over time. And there are people who come in and out of our lives, whether they're women, whether they're friends, whether it's teachers, whatever the circumstance we're in, whatever arena that we've been in, whether it's a mentor or whatever have you. As a man, you're in school at some point in time in your life, whether it's a traditional school or even when you're in school, you're in school. I was a knucklehead in high school, and so I met one specific teacher named Mr. Malizia that did not put up with my crap. And at that point in time, he reassured me that, oh, people do care. But he also reassured me that it's like, hey, look, I got mine already. I got mine, and I'm trying to give you an opportunity to get yours. Take it or leave it. So when I didn't have somebody trying to pander to my bad behavior and actually sat back and said, hey, look, you can sit here in this chair, you can learn something, you can go across the hall to Dean Phillips, and you can sit with him during my class period. Choice is yours, but I'm going to still get through this lesson. You are not an obstacle in what I'm trying to accomplish. I found that to be power. I'm like, wow. Number three, how do others react to your presence? Because sometimes I don't have to say anything. Sometimes I don't have to do anything. I don't have to dig deep into your situation. Sometimes I could just walk in the room and I just stand back and I'll observe how people respond to when they see you. Do they embrace you when you come in? Is there snickering and laughter and stuff going on behind your back when you walk around? Because the true you is not going to be defined when somebody's in front of your face. A lot of times it's going to be defined when people know that you're in the room. It's the perception that people have. Do you draw people or do you repel people? So a lot of times when a man is fully in his manhood, he has an attractive power to where when he speaks, people stop, they listen, they want to learn from him, they want to hear his stories, they want to talk to him, they want to pick his brain, they want to know things from him. That comes with accomplishments and competency. A lot of people who are trying to overcompensate for what they have not done do way more talking and way more boasting about mediocre accomplishments than creating the notoriety that comes along with being truly accomplished. And that's the energy. I don't think people realize that it's an energy. I don't have to tell you who I am. You can feel it when I walk through the room if I am who I say I am. Matter of fact, nobody ever heard Jordan say that he was the GOAT, but everybody gives him the credit. And the only thing that diminishes LeBron James' argument for being the GOAT is the fact that he keeps tooting his own horn.
I ain't gonna say that's the only thing, but okay.
What I'm saying is that when you're having a conversation of greatness, we're not saying anything outside of the fact that you are comparing yourself to what the world standard of greatness is. And the world standard of greatness never said he was great, ever. Automatic disqualifier. Because you're trying to
Agreed.
convince
Well,
us
well,
that you are at the same level.
Muhammad Ali, Muhammad Ali is the world's greatest, and he ran around. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference. Who was the greatest before him? Didn't exist, right? He was the greatest because of what he did on and off generations, but outside of what his notoriety, his boisterousness, and everything that he was doing was bringing light to a greater purpose. So once you actually got to know the man behind it, it was like, oh, he is the greatest in and out the ring. No debating, because he'll get him the talk show and he'll kick a whole level of literature about how the hypocrisy of the same people that cut his checks.
He sure got on TV and said, "Ain't no Viet Cong ever called blank." And I was like, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
So when we start talking about those things, we have to understand the fact that he wasn't comparing himself to anybody but his own intellectual ability to be better than who he was the last fight. When you're living in Jordan's shadow, that's like Usher saying that he's better than Michael Jackson. First and foremost, you were never in a conversation until somebody put you there, or until you put yourself in a conversation. It was never a debate until you said it. And mostly people are laughing at it, not that they agree, not that there's even at least with LeBron, there's a semblance of agreement. But that's neither here nor there. But as far as that specific point is, the presence, what you create, you have to understand that success is not a culmination of the things that you do, but it's a marriage of the things that you do and the energy that you exude. When you're in the presence of successful people, you feel better about yourself. When they speak to you, they're speaking from a place of some place that they've been, some place that they exist, and it encourages you, it builds you, it does things to you that you can't get talking to people who you know haven't accomplished anything.
I mean, when you said when you walk into the room, it's like it's an energy that you carry. Once you like a man builds himself. When I was 18 years old, when I walked in the room, it wasn't the same as when I walk in the room now. And when I was building myself, it wasn't the same. But people always wanted to know who is that guy. As soon as you walk in, everybody knows who's a mover and a shaker. But everybody respects you as a man. Just like how they say you know who to try or who not to try. Because when you walk upon that man, there's a certain energy they give off that says, try me or don't try me. And that's a big thing. I like how you said, I like how you said, you don't have to walk around saying it. You don't have to wear a shirt that says, I'm a man. Respect me as a man. Respect me as a man. Me being here, you're going to respect me as a man. If you're not, we're going to clash. Just like they said, females don't understand that to men, and y'all may disagree with this, but love is respect. Respect is a big part of love. I cannot feel loved by you if you don't respect me. In no way. I can't.
Is biblical, and we've said it multiple times on the show that that's how we interpret love is through respect.
Respect. That's why, yeah, it's all of that. That's exactly what it is. And it's like you sit here and it's like if you can fix your mouth to call me out my name. how could I ever believe you when you fix your mouth to tell me you love me? How could you? Like, I'm a man. If you know the standards, you know that I'm supposed to be king. So if I'm supposed to be king and you spitting on me, I can't. You know what I'm saying? So when you walk into a room, if everybody's spitting on you, you're carrying yourself not so much as man, but as the one that can be spit on. You walk in a room and everybody, how you doing? They care. Even if you walk in a room and nobody knows you at all, nobody knows you. Period. They're gonna. How you doing, sir? How's it going? What can I help you with, sir? It's not gonna be a. Oh man, I don't know how to say it without
Say it the way you feel it, my man.
this guy. I don't know. It's not gonna be like a confrontation, like off back because you walked in. Oh, here's a man. Let's start it. It's automatic respect walking through the door. There's certain
There's a
principles
reason
that
for that.
are similar all around the board. Like you were saying, what's good in Midas' house might not be good in my house. What's good in your house is good for your house. Good for my house. But there's similarities in all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna walk in your house and spit on the floor. I don't care who house it is. I guarantee you that don't work in no man's house.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna walk in and disrespect your missus. I'm not gonna walk in and yell at your kids. I'm not gonna walk. It's certain things that no one is gonna accept as man. If a man lets you walk in and disrespect his woman, I don't care if they into it, hate each other, not whatever. He let you do that. That speaks volumes about him, and he is now that guy that you can try. So now I might spit on his floor. Who knows? We're gonna put our feet on his couch. We're gonna go in his fridge. Why not? And we're gonna do it all subconsciously because he has opened that window to where we see him like that now without even paying attention.
Hmm.
So there's similarities of everything. You know, I don't care if you're a white family, I don't care if you're a Hindu family, I don't care what family you are. That man in that house is not gonna allow me to walk in and disrespect this woman. I don't care what background you come from. Man of the house is not gonna let no another man come in his house and disrespect his home. He will die for that. Does that make sense? So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a total reason for all of that, Marvin. And you know what
of
I'm saying,
course,
in
of
the
course,
manosphere, you know what I'm saying, every man should understand that there's always a low level of threat when it comes to disrespect. So that man that don't nobody know that just walked into that room, you don't know who that man is. You don't know who that man knows. You don't know who he's connected to. You don't know what that man has the capability of doing. You don't know. So off top, the level of respect is going to be at its highest because there's always a low level of threat and it can escalate quickly. So that's why we always, you know, saying, "Hey, how you doing?" Or, you know, saying you let that man finish what he's saying. You don't interrupt. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just an understanding amongst men when it comes to respect.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's like a
Period.
universal, whether you speak English or not. You can go to China right now. I guarantee you, whether you speak English or not, that same standard of man respect is gonna be there. This is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. But I may not understand the language, but I understand tone.
And body language.
Hmm.
90% of communication is nonverbal.
I mean, one of the things that I look at is that, and the reason why I asked the question I asked to kind of kick this sector of the conversation off is because of the fact that there's a intersectionality, so to speak, of where we see things. That once you reach a certain level of maturity, that you can identify certain traits to where there may be certain things that are more predominant to one person, like as far as somebody's business acumen. But his business acumen may tie a lot into how his respect. Because like me and Midas was talking the other day, and he was mentioning about how he is dealing and doing business with somebody who will fire and cut ties with somebody who he knows is cheating on his wife. Because if you're cheating on a person that you lay in bed every day, what will prevent you from cheating on me? What prevents you from doing it to me? If you're going to do it to the person who lays right there next to you every day. So there's things when it comes down to how people do and the process by which people do that ties directly into their core values. I'll just say core values specifically, because there's certain core values that somebody might have to where I really value people who can articulate points very well. That doesn't mean that you have the greatest level of vernacular, but it means that your word selections and your choices, you're very intentional about what you say. You have a great understanding of what you're trying to convey, and you can say the most in the least amount of words as possible. One thing that I've always disliked as a job person, somebody who is always trying to convince you a tale, that they have to go through these long, elaborate ways of trying to explain something to you to either absolve themselves of responsibility or to try to deceive you. Anybody I've ever known telling a long story was telling you a wise tale.
Yeah, I automatically go into snake oil. You selling me a bill of goods. You selling me snake oil. If it's too long and it sounds extremely creative and elaborate, snake oil. You can't just get to the point, snake oil.
I won't always say snake oil. What I will say is that there are a lot of people with very vivid imaginations. And some people are trying to create the story or embellish the story in order to make themselves look bigger than what they are. I want to, it's like how you will hear somebody tell a story about Tupac or something, right? And it's like they go really hard above and beyond to make sure to emphasize where they were and what they were doing and how close they were to Tupac at the time that said incident happened, rather than just telling the story. And it's like, think about when Snoop told the whole little Tupac and Nas story. And then
Mhm.
Nas turned around and said, nah, that didn't happen. You hear how elaborate Snoop was about that story, only to come to find out that, well,
Wait,
allegedly Snoop wasn't even there
that
when it
happened?
happened.
That I didn't see Nas said that didn't happen.
Yeah, he came out
That's
and said it didn't
crazy.
happen.
I believe it though
Well,
because
I think
it was
it
very
was more of it didn't go down that way.
it was very detailed though. He was real deep with how exactly words and everything. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot
Listen,
of go ahead.
if your imagination, if your imagination is going to be that vivid, if you have such a vivid, free running imagination, write a book.
I,
Why don't you be Rawlings? Why
oh,
don't you be a Rawlings and write a Harry Potter story? Why don't
No, because
you
Rollins stole the
Mm,
entire plot from Star Wars. Like
for
literally,
Star Wars? No problem. Okay, okay. You know, we're not.
Harry Potter is all Star
We
Wars.
don't reinvent the wheel. Okay, so that's a perfect example.
She
But
didn't
anyway,
reinvent the wheel. She stole the wheel and put a different name on it.
okay, Goodyear Michelin. It's still a tire. It's still a tire. It's still rubber that you put on a wheel and put it on the car. But anyway, if your imagination is that vivid, write a book. If your imagination is that vivid, why don't you write some cartoons for Nickelodeon or something? If you just can't get to the point, and or if you need to make something up that well detailed, snake oil, dog. Like you just can't convince me. It's snake oil.
Well, because the thing is that it's not about convincing you. It's not, it really like really. It's more about wanting to hear yourself speak because you want to feel bigger than what you are.
some people have to validate themselves with their own speech to make sure that they're the person they say they are. So they have to hear themselves say things. I do it sometimes. I have to hear myself say it to make sure it sound right. So I practice it. If I'm saying something,
There's a
you know,
difference.
it is a big difference. But when you add that to a lack of self-esteem and believing in your own product or whatever it is you're selling, then you're selling it to yourself while you're saying it too. You're trying to convince yourself and this person that it's a good deal because you're probably thinking about quitting, but real
But
life, you
it's
gotta sit there and go buy these garbage bags. They don't break. These boys is good. When it's a garbage bag, you should be able to be like, hey, look, this it holds garbage and it smells good. But
You
instead,
know,
you gotta be like, buy this garbage
right.
bag for $10 more, just because it has locked in odor refreshing pellets built in the plastic, and Because you're convincing yourself that it'd be okay to pay $5 extra for some garbage bags, knowing you wouldn't normally do it if you didn't work here. So now you have to go into this detailed store. You know, my wife uses them at the house. And one time we were doing this, and all of a sudden we couldn't even find the trash. It smelled so good. The trash smelled great, didn't it, honey? Now you're trying to prove to people that trash smells good, and you're like, you're doing too
You
much.
know what's funny about
You're
that,
trying to
Marvin?
convince you that it's a good idea too, and yeah, it shows
So so
confidence.
so to your point, I remember back in the day, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Febreze. So before I talk about that, clearly what you saying works because now they have trash bags with Febreze and Gain in them.
For
So
I
an
have
extra
clearly,
game
dollar,
garbage bags. Thank
for
you
an
very
extra
so
much.
$2.
so
Yeah.
so definitely that works.
That's
Okay.
why I used it.
Also,
That's why I used that as an example.
I have
so
game garbage bags and the trash still stinks.
I
Carry
do too.
on.
So
Carry
back in the day,
on.
But the trash
Febreze,
still stinks, dog. If
The trash
somebody
still,
tried to sell
it
me,
does.
if
yeah,
they
the
tried to
trash is
sell
still
me and
trashy,
telling me my
guys.
trash ain't gonna stink, they gaslight, dog. They really try to
Absolutely.
push it.
So Febreze back in the day ran a campaign where they had left like a ton of trash all under the beds, all under the couches, and all this in this prop house. And they just let the trash sit there and marinate, I think, for like a week or 2 weeks or something like that. And so they just went in, it was awful smelling, and they sprayed Febreze everywhere around the house. And then they had random people just walk in the house to see if they could actually smell all that trash. And they couldn't. You know what I'm saying? So that ties right into what you're saying is I have to convince myself that me selling this odor lock resistant trash bag, snake oil, dog.
And then
Clearly
also that's big business. So you got to think
it is.
about it. Big business is not just trying to big, thanks to you, mommy. Big business is not just trying to convince you. They're going for your kids. They're going for everybody. So when they put that commercial out, what they saw is it's a bunch of kids that's gonna see this and see that they could spray their room instead of cleaning it. So they're gonna be telling their mom, pick it up while they out. They're gonna say, Mom, this stuff smells really good. Pick this up. Just in thoughts that it's gonna do that. So that's gonna be a sale point. Mom is
Mhm.
thinking, shoot, I'm over here cooking this food and it's hot outside, so we don't be wanting to put the garbage all the way out. And these garbage bags really help with the smell in the garage. So she thinking Febreze already. Then they're going for daddy because they like, yo, daddy, mommy's gonna be happy because the house smell good if you make the trash smell good. So they're going for him too. Then the spray, daddy. You can go and spray your closet and your man cave, and they won't complain about the smell no more. See, so that big business is advertising to everybody for different reasons in hopes to get sales from all of them. Versus that man who's selling that vacuum cleaner that's trying to convince you to pay this money for this vacuum cleaner. He a little different. He's trying to convince you to buy this Kirby for $10 million. You know, and how you start your own company with this vacuum cleaner. And it's a thing, man. I mean, if you think about it, we did the pyramid schemes. I went to Amway. I
Shout
did
out to
five
Amway.
links.
Shout out to Primerica.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm
five
saying?
links.
We did it. And we know how it goes when you sitting there trying to convince somebody to buy a knife because it can cut a penny in half. Like, we don't eat pennies. Who's cutting pennies in half? Like, come on, man. Like, are you trying to convince somebody this the real cologne with just in a different bottle? Like, we've been there. That's part of learning the hustle and how to do this. But when you look at somebody in their face and you trying to convince you and them, you ain't got it, dog. You already it's time to find something else to do.
You know, one of the most important things that I learned about the finesse, I guess if you had to give it a name, is the fact that many people who do it are doing it for reasons that may not necessarily be rooted in malicious intent, but they're doing it because there's some level of inadequacy. That's why one of the reasons why it's like I tell stories to people, especially the embarrassing ones. I learned to laugh at my own foolishness. Why? Because growth is best told in the circumstance to where you are not the victor of the situation. And the lessons are best learned when you talk about it to where you're not trying to say it. It's almost like, and I've I remember having a conversation with a young lady, and having a conversation with that young lady, I told her like, listen, are you going to actually tell your daughter what really happened with you and her father? And she looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, no, I want you to really hear what I'm saying because I need this to not fly over heads. Are you going to tell him or tell her what really happened between you and him? Or are you going to tell her, your child the version that, oh, he misled me, oh, he made me feel like we were going to be this and then turn around and be that? Or are you going to tell your child the version that he was already in a committed relationship and you slept with him anyway? And then you were convinced that keeping the baby was going to convince him to leave. And it did. He left you. And now you resent him for your decision. And then once she finally had her little emotional run and everything like that, I told her, listen, now that we're bringing it back down, I want you to understand something. If you don't tell your child the truth, your child is going to likely repeat the same pattern you did because where you are preventing yourself from growing, you're going to lie, you're going to desensitize the situation, you're going to convince yourself everything, excuse me, anything under the sun about that situation, ultimately making it sound like it's not as bad as what it was and there's less accountability involved as what it was. And when your daughter goes out and does the same thing that you did, she's going to make the same. And this is how the generational curse happens. And then I had to explain to her one other thing that in most cultures, women pass down culture, women pass down religion, women pass down language. When we talk about culture, culture is involved in customs, it's involved in practices, it's involved in thought process. What men provide and what a woman provides, when you don't have a male structure, you may get the language, you may get the food, you may get the customs, you may get everything else, but you get all the negatives that go unchecked. So if you can't live in reality and live in your truth, this is where generational curses come from. It's like, oh, generational curses don't come from the men. I'm like, generational curses come from who passes down the information. I'm going out with mommy. And tomorrow traditionally, in most cultures, the information is passed down from mom because mom is the nurturing figure in the house. So that's where the information comes from. So if she's getting the wrong information, guess what she's going to do with that wrong information? Repeat the same process.
Can I add to that?
Put some sauce on the ribs.
That's one thing, repeat the same process, but I look at it as even deeper than that. They're going to believe that process is correct and preach it and stand on it and look stupid in public and look unsmart. You know what I mean? They're actually gonna take this. If you tell them, like, that's a big thing I say about culture shocks for people from different areas. Their wrong and right is flipped around. If I'm raised to eat ketchup every day, you raised to eat mustard every day, nobody's wrong. That's cool. Household things. But if I'm raised that, hey, if you call me out of my name, it's disrespectful, and you're raised, if I'm mad, I can call you out your name, and it's just a normal thing. That's just what happens, and you're supposed to accept that. This has now set the grounds for a nasty clash. From
Yeah.
look at this. Out south, we don't take the B word. We'll fight and kill about this word. We don't play it at all. Go out west, boys, men are calling each other the B word like it's cool. They don't care. They be like, you B word, blah, 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 blah. And it's okay. I don't think that's okay. Our right and wrongs are different here. Therefore, if we're out in public one day and we're all hanging out, and you come out of pocket and say what you think is right, and I get offended by it and say, "Hey, look, I don't play like that," you're now offended because I went against your norm. Now you think I'm just being extra because you honestly believe that this is the right way things are supposed to be. Which now means you think I'm playing you and I think you playing me. That sets the ground for a nasty clash right there. You see what I'm saying?
You're challenging culture.
I feel
Yeah.
disrespected. Now you feel disrespected, so let's fight it out. You see what I'm saying? And that's how it goes. And it's dangerous. Now let's take that to what you were just talking about with women and men and all of that. You grow up watching mom punch dad in the face every day. You think that it's okay to hit men. You can preach a narrative and start a toxic trait in your family without no words. You don't even have to say it out loud. They just see it every day and observe it and believe that this is the right way. And there's nothing more dangerous than someone that's doing something extremely wrong that honestly believes they're doing something right. There's nothing more dangerous than that.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
I've seen situations where, all out in public, just loud and ignorant, belligerent, especially, I've seen a lot of women just loud and ignorant, yelling and cursing and all that at their significant other. And they think that it's okay, like being all out in public like that
Act like nothing
is
happened.
normal. Like it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
well, and to top it off with these things is the fact that we'll be in denial of the fact that these things that were passed down are
Wrong.
are wrong. It's like,
Because that's saying your mom is wrong. That's me telling you your mother is wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was gonna go there, but you found a much quicker way to get to the punchline.
Go ahead and mute it. My bad.
I mean, consequently, a lot of us are very sensitive when we're given information that is contrary to what we have been led to believe. So, if a man who has been traditionally Christian his entire life is approached by somebody with a different thought process, or it can be a fellow Christian, but his practice of Christianity might be different. They'll clash and butt heads over it because they've been taught that, okay, well, the Pentecostal way is the methodology to get closer to Christ. Well, the Baptist way tells me that if you do this, this, and this, and this, and then you can be able to track it through, certain aspects of certain attributes that, well, God wants me wealthy, God wants me healthy, God wants this, God wants that. That's actually nowhere in the Bible, but that he didn't know that. Then you look at these different attributes of how slight differences can create big problems, to where you'll have men who feel like controlling a woman is somehow being a man. You have all types of different thought processes, but those thought processes are based off what they were raised to believe. And anything that goes against that norm is wrong. It's automatically wrong. Like, I'll have people that look at me and say, "Ooh," every time I come back to Chicago, people tell me, "Oh, you're so skinny. You're so skinny. You're so skinny." And I'm like,
You're
"You're
just
chronically obese. Like, literally, you are a step and a half shy of hypertension and high blood pressure. But you make fun of me as if being height and weight proportionate is a problem." But it's normal to see obese people and assume that it's normal. It's like it astounds me in certain ways to say that you have people who are in poverty that are obese, and then how do you look at that level of poverty when you have people who are not not eating in other sectors of the world and they're in poverty? You're overeating, they're undereating, and yet y'all both are in the same level of poverty.
Make it make
Culture.
sense.
Culture is how you believe. Like your poverty is overconsumption. It's this mental connection between your finances, your outlook on your situation, your mindset, and using food as a therapy, or just the
Just
whole just the whole nature of don't get up from the table until you finish it all. That's one of the worst things I've ever heard somebody say to a child. Don't you get up until you finish it. And then what you mean? Like the stomach is like this big at 4. Why am I forcing you to eat this? You ain't gonna waste your food. There's people in other parts of the world that they would kill for this food. Well, maybe stop overfeeding them. If you notice that they have a trend of not eating a lot, maybe you should stop feeding them so much.
It doesn't click, Mike. I mean, we spoke about that too, about how um what our perspective was on the whole finishing the plate theory, why obesity is running rampant, the generations of, so grandmama, eh, throwing down in the kitchen. Nothing wrong with grandmama throwing down in the kitchen, but, cooking large amounts of food. And everybody's just sitting there and just gobbling down. I mean, we spoke about all that for sure.
One thing I would definitely say, excuse me, got the chronic dry throat today, apparently. One thing, one thing
Me too.
so many inappropriate jokes behind that. Okay, go ahead.
that nobody would have thought about until you mentioned that.
Dog, man.
I'm pretty sure there's a pause.
Just gonna think it, man. It's pretty fun.
I'm pretty sure there's a pause. A couple of them actually. Just
I don't have a pause effect.
yeah, man. I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna text it to you once I think of it. But anyway, one thing I definitely say, and it's like I
You're
just
about to
want to
get
put this.
interrupted in a
Actually,
second.
I got a question, and Marv, I want you to start with this one. It's a question, and we asked about traits that we respect. Okay,
It showed up too. It showed up too late.
tell me stop the cap, so I took it off. No, but Marvin, and then Midas, you answer this right afterwards.
I got
What
you.
is the biggest trait that turns you off when you see a man that has it?
Whining. I hate a complaining, whining man who just sit up and crying about what's going on but don't want to do nothing. I hate it. People complain about their situations, but you get them a way out of it, but they ain't willing to make the sacrifice to do that, so they just stay complaining. Men who look for reasons to stay the same. I'm talking to you. Yes, you. Whoever is watching this right now, that is doing this, I hate you. It's you. That they sit there and they look for excuses to stay the same instead of ways to get better. They say, "Oh man, I don't have no money." You say, "Hey, I got a job over here." They say, "I ain't got no way to get there." You say, "I got a bus card for you." They say, "I ain't got no way to get there to get the bus card." You say, "I'll bring it to you." They say, "Well, see, now my mom got to do this and I got to drop kids off and I got to do that. The world just hate me. I just can't get nothing to go for me." Or they go, "I ain't got nowhere to go. I'm like this, I'm like that." And you go, "Okay, cool. You can go stay over here." "Oh, well, by the way, I'm about to stay over there and I don't want to respect no rules though. So I'm homeless now. And I'm homeless because the world hates me." No, you're homeless because you don't listen, because you're not willing to do the work that it takes to get where you are. Those people, complacent people who can sit still and be okay with it. People who will ask for help and not use the help and then blame everything in the universe for why it's like that when it's them. People who can't take responsibility. Men that can't say, "My bad. That's me. Yes, I'm gonna make this sacrifice and do this. Yes, I'll cut my hair to get the job. Yes, I'll fix my attitude and talk right when I'm in a professional role. Yes, I'll do that." Those people bother me, and that's hard for me to do because I feel like I'm man. I can do what I want to do and say what I want to say, but I still even check myself and conform to what needs to be done in certain settings to make things go a certain way. People that cannot and they just whine and whine with no solution. Like, can we? Never mind.
I'm cool with it.
Just say, just, just say.
Yeah.
The most appropriate sound effect for that moment right there. Midas.
Man,
Because he just said them all, but
he said them all. So
I
it's
asked
like
for one. He just went down the whole
he said
spectrum.
them all. I mean, the only thing that I could probably add some sausage and ribs on is somebody that just wants everything done for them. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, I need this resume done. You know what I'm saying? You think you can help me out? And then the help out turns into that person that was only helping actually writing it, or they just want everything done for them. They want everything handed to them. They don't want to put no amount of work in whatsoever. They want the Lambo, but want to put zero effort and work in to get the Lambo. They want their YouTube channel to blow up, but want to put zero effort and work in to get their platform to where it needs to go. They just want to put no work in at all. And which also ties back into what Marvin was saying is they find every excuse to not get it done. Hey man, I ain't got no money. All right, I got a job. Man, I ain't got no way to get there, but I got a bus card. I ain't got no way to come get the bus card. I'll bring it to, and then you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a continuous ongoing cycle of excuses and laziness and everything else that comes along with it.
I give you reasons why you can. You give me reasons why you can't.
This is why you can't. Yes.
Another one, since y'all said I pointed out everything. I despise men that disrespect their children in public, yell and scream, call them names.
Absolutely.
Can't deal with it. I don't care what's going on with you and your woman at home. And people know things that I done had going on when we in public. We don't play like that. Disrespect your family in public. Your mother. I don't. Same signal.
Yep. And that ties right back into what I said earlier, how that man talks and treat his kids and his wife. That's a big one.
Or the one that let his wife sit up there and do all of this. Yeah. I don't compromise their morals and values for sex. Is that a word? You know what I'm saying? Like they'll be like, they'll know. People who will spend their rent money to appease somebody else.
I
No,
can't stand that.
no discipline.
Total disregard for their responsibilities.
Brother, rims on your car. People with priorities. That's the word I'm looking for. Bad priorities. Men with bad priorities ruin the world. You can't have it because we're the strong. We build this whole thing. You got bad priorities, then you're gonna be building the top of the skyscraper before you put the foundation in, and then it ain't gonna work. And we done wasted money. We ain't never going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Bad priorities is another big one for me. People who can't prioritize property or it's not strong enough to know know the priority and do it no matter how uncomfortable it makes them because it's priority. Instead, they you give them a bus card. I don't get on no bus. Are you crazy?
Yeah, that's pride. Too much pride. Bad priorities, too much pride. And I think to add some more sausage and ribs is somebody that, since we're talking about prioritize their habits over their responsibilities, such as you put drinking and if you're on heroin and things of that nature, you put these bad habits over taking care of your children. Your children can't even, just the fact that you have children, it's not enough to convince you to stop and become a fantastic father, an extraordinary father. Stuff like that really grinds my gears for real.
You in the back.
You in the back with the hat.
Men who don't stand for anything. What I mean by that? It's pretty simple. I feel like you have not experienced anything if you don't know what you are not willing to do. Many people that I've met in my lifetime, they don't stand for anything.
Hmm.
They don't stand on anything. It's like one of the things that I hate hearing, right, is that, oh, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And it's like, where did you hear that from? And when you heard it, it just sounded good, didn't it? It just tapped you on the shoulder and say, that's it. You know what that is? That is the same as wanting the benefits with no accountability. Hey, Daddy, I want your phone. Since everybody else's kids is popping up in their life. Thank you. I find it to be a lot of places, a lot of situations to where it's like the guy who says, oh, I just want a friend who I can be cool with. We could do all this, that, and the third. We can play around and stuff like that, but I don't want a committed relationship. So you want everything else with no commitment. You don't stand on anything. Because if you're getting everything that you want, then why not commit to it?
But you kept the kid though.
Well, my point is, and my point specifically on this is the fact that a lot of people have no idea what they're saying. They run with what sounds good. They don't delve any deeper than surface level, so they don't even know that they don't stand on anything tangible. So, for instance, it's like, you know how somebody will post something on social media or they'll ask a question, hey, for X amount of dollars, would you be willing to do ABC in the third? First and foremost is like, where do you have to be to tap into a section of your mind to think about what you would do to compromise your morals, integrity, and everything else for money? Just the fact that you had to consider it says everything I need to know about you, that you can be bought and sold at a moment's notice. Man, for $1 million, would you sleep around on your wife? I am certain that over some period of time, I will touch that $1 million and I won't have to do that.
Hmm.
But for instant gratification to be able to touch it right now, will I destroy everything my life has, everything in my life?
Is it cheating if she agree?
It ain't cheating if she agreed.
Oh, well then, yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, that don't count.
I mean, that completely. See, there we go. There we go. See, you prime example.
Yeah, you can't. You can't
Prime
do.
example. Because again, it's like for you to sit there and say that it's like, well, if she agreed to it, where does your mind have to be to think on that level to say, hey, I'm going to compromise this for this? Hey,
Well, you
hold
know,
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Listen, I'm
I
not no saint. I ain't no judge. I ain't no jury. I ain't finna sit here and preach to the choir. What I'm saying is the fact that at some point in time, you have to question yourself to say, what made me think that was okay? And if that thought process never comes to you at some point in time through your life, over and over again through routine situations, what made me take that business deal? What made me take that meeting? What made me think that going to that loan shark to finance my business was okay?
oh yeah.
What made me think that going and taking this money and going to the casino and thinking that, oh, well, I can get it back on the craps table? What made me have that flawed thinking to think that that was okay to do? What made me say that, all right, man, I'm gonna go ahead and just peel $100 off the rent money. I could hustle it back just so that you can go to the club for the night and look fly for nothing. It's one of those things to where you don't always know where your weaknesses lie and where your morals are tested. And when you find them, if you're not willing to do anything about it or blatantly ignore the fact that your morals have no bounds, it's like the basically the end all be all is the stand for something or fall for anything.
So, Mike, what do you say to people like going back to I'm spiritual but not religious? What do you say to those people that then say I believe in a higher power, higher being, higher this, higher that? I definitely believe that it wasn't just poof human, you know. Definitely believe that there was a higher entity that put us here. I just don't like the way that they operate and rock and try to box me in and keep me bound to this specific format of operating my life. But I definitely believe that somebody put me here. What do you say to people like that?
You stand on something. You believe there's something. You believe in something. To say that I am spiritual, spiritual at what? Spiritual what? What does that mean? I'm spiritual. What does it mean? You know me, I'm Mr.
Well,
Google Facts. Let's
I,
here
look
the
at
I'm,
this.
I'm, I'm about to hit the Google right
Hold on,
now.
no, I'm already at.
All right.
go ahead.
What does being spiritual mean? Spirituality involves the recognition of a feeling or sense of belief that there is something greater than myself, something more to being human than sensory experience, and that the greater whole of which we are part of a cosmic and divine nature.
Oh well, I just said that without getting so elaborate.
So when people listen to that definition, it's like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense, right?
No, it makes no sense at all.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because now let's dig just a tad bit deeper. Spirituality involves the recognition of a feeling or sense or belief that there is something greater than myself. Okay, cool. Let's start there. When we start talking about feelings, sense of belief, first and foremost, a religion is just practice. The word religion,
Society got us.
That first sentence right there, that first sentence right there sounds like a father. Believing in something bigger than yourself, taking care of your family, that's a father.
so the definition of a
And
religion,
just being a dad is spirituality.
hold on,
Well, it didn't say taking care of your family, but
hold on, hold on,
I
hold
added
on,
that part,
hold
but
on, hold on, hold on. The belief of man, woman, and child being the divine trinity. I heard the definition, right?
yes.
go ahead, read that, and that's the definition.
Spirituality involves the recognition of feeling or sense of belief that there is something greater than myself. Let's start
Correct.
there.
Now, what's the next? What was the definition for religion?
For religion,
Religious, for a religious person. Religion would be the
first,
person anyone.
first and foremost, religion will make more sense. Trust me.
Okay.
A personal set of institutionalized system or religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices,
The key
i.e.,
word there you said is personal.
Well, all religion and spirituality is personal, it's within oneself.
so the question is to believe in something, right? Something could change today. I believe in the almighty t-shirt of Allah,
Hmm.
garb of Jesus Christ. Or I could believe that God is air, God is the water, God is the sun, God is everything that I can't explain.
Yeah. You got people that do believe that too.
So if science says that water is H2O, okay, because I can explain water, God ain't water. But God is water. God is ebb and flow. He just feels into everything. He explains this. God is the involuntary senses and the things that I'm not in control of. Because how do I breathe? How do I do this? There's an understanding that there is a belief in something, but what do you believe?
Well, I'll tell you what I believe. when it comes to this is that no one can tell anybody they wrong. Spirituality and religion go hand in hand. To me, religion means that I've accepted these rules and that these guidelines. I've looked at these and decided that this is best and this is what I believe happened.
Mm.
See what I'm saying?
You
And
said something key right there.
and versus spirituality means, hey, I want to acknowledge that I believe in God because I do believe, or not just God, but any type of deity, whatever you want to call them. You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
God is a
I believe
vague,
in a
ambiguous
higher,
term. It doesn't have
Yeah.
a actual.
higher being. I believe in a higher being, but I don't want none of the laws or rules or responsibilities of none of these religions. So I'm just gonna say, hey, I'm spiritual. I believe in a higher being, but I don't believe in none of the rules that go with it.
Yeah, but even religious, again,
Right.
in the definition itself, is personal.
The whole thing is when it comes down to, because
Mm.
again,
All right.
take this into consideration and just try it on. To have a personal belief in something is like I can believe that you and I have a certain type of relationship. Where in contrast, you can believe that we have a completely different kind of relationship. But you believe in something that is tangible. Based on this is what gives me the reason to believe this to be true. So if you get on your knees and you pray at night and you say, God, this is the situation I'm in, and whatever have you, and an answer comes to you, and your definition of that answer that comes to you is a miracle, there's something believed in. Now, I believe that miracles do come true. If I ask my divine father for whatever it is that I'm looking for, he will reveal the answer to me. Maybe not in my time, but when the timing is right, he will reveal himself to me. If
Max.
that's what you believe. But when I sit there and say to myself, like, okay, well, I'm spiritual. That means, all right, well, it'll work out somehow because there's something in the inertia somewhere that's just gonna make everything okay. It's just gonna, it just works. It's
Now, let
just,
me ask you this. I'm definitely not a believer of luck, but I do believe in circumstances. Do you believe that you prayed and then something happened is just circumstantial?
No blessings without work. I believe that you did something to put the energy in the atmosphere to make it happen. It didn't just happen coincidentally.
so whether you explain it as a miracle or whether you explain it as energy, there's a root belief that if so, then,
Well, no, see, a
which means
miracle.
that there's a practice involved.
No, see, miracle means something just happened out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Here we go. Come on,
Human.
because y'all know how I like to play these games.
Practical has
People
happened
be saying shit their whole
versus
lives and have
I
no idea what they saying.
I believe in no blessings without work. You're gonna get what you put out. You put a bunch of positive energy into the,
Absolutely.
then there's gonna be positive things that come back that are unexplained, which would be considered a miracle. Now that I've talked around into a circle, yeah, I guess it
Yeah,
would.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because the definition of a miracle is a surprising and welcome event that is not explicable by nature or scientific laws, and therefore is considered to be the work of a divine agency,
yeah,
which can be defined as energy, vibes, whatever.
Mhm.
I put it out there in the universe, and then it comes back to me, or God
Okay,
gave
well,
it
with
to
that definition being said, then yes, I believe in a miracle then.
me. But see, this
I
this is
mean,
what, but see, here's what I was getting at with that. It's like not to be going too far off into the preacher end. Yes,
Mhm.
sir. But a lot of times we don't know what we're talking about because even the things that we are most educated of, we are highly educated at surface level thinking because we speak a language that we don't fully understand. We don't even know how to use it in context. I'll use the word aloof out of context for 20 years until I finally looked it up. I looked at the word tithe and I looked at the 1828 definition of tithe versus the New Age version of tithe. And the 1828, which was the first American English dictionary says that the tithe is the 10th part of your increase, not the 10th part of your complete and whole. So if I made $100,000 this year and I make 120,000 next year, I owe 10% of that 20,000 because it is the increase from what I made the previous year.
What's the new definition?
The new definition is a 10th part
Pardon
of your
whole.
entirety.
And then the
Pardon whole.
biblical definition is 10% of either income, work, or time. You can tithe in many ways, more than money.
But
So
see,
as far as the
again,
biblical definition
but
goes,
see, but again, this is my point. The ambiguity of if you are somebody that's into the Bible based on what you believe, you know this to be this. If you don't necessarily partake in the Bible and you're looking for more of a secular answer, then you're going to go this route as far as what your understanding of what this is. So there's going to be a clash because the culture of secular thought and religious thought do not agree. They don't marry.
Oh, we ain't gonna talk about the word marry because that's a whole nother.
That's another show, man. That's another show, man. We are hour and almost 30 minutes in.
All right, we got to close this out, y'all. I got to go pick up my daughter glasses and stuff. And surprisingly,
I wanted to ask y'all one question.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Why
sir.
is it that society? Because I was thinking about people that make excuses for not completing things of that nature. Why does society make so many excuses for bad behavior? For example, we literally turn the word practice into meaning insanity in order to get away from having to do it. We say doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result is insanity. No, that's called practice. If you shoot a basketball and you miss, you're going to shoot it again, hoping that you make it. You know why? Because you probably will. If you shoot it enough, you'll make it. So to say that to me, it's like you're trying to say, I'm going to try something new because I don't want to try hard enough.
No. So check this out, Marvin. So the end result of shooting that basketball, the end result is to get it in that net. What you're doing is you're figuring out the different ways of properly shooting that ball in order to get it into that basket. But if you shoot the exact same way every single time and you know that way doesn't work, but you refuse to change up, maybe you need to flick your wrist a little more like this. Maybe I need to jump a little more like this. If you're not taking notes and articulating what you are learning as far as trying to shoot that basket, that's where the insanity comes from, because you're not learning anything and you're not elevating what you did learn. That's where that comes from.
Okay, so I would say it's safe to say doing something wrong repeatedly, expecting for it to be right, would be insanity.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that would make sense.
Like
writing with a yellow crayon and you keep writing with the same yellow crayon hoping it turn orange, something wrong with you. I get
correct. It. Yes.
Say I started drawing with crayons and it didn't stay in the line, so I was like, I'm not gonna keep drawing with crayons because
okay, now you're a quitter. You failed. Now you're a quitter.
That's where I'm at with it. Okay.
Yeah. And not subscribe to the Extraordinary Men podcast is insanity. You come here, you watch the stuff every time we go live, and you not clicking the like, subscribe button. That is insanity. I couldn't understand what's going on through your head. Like, son, look at this hat. You see that? I'm trying to tell you, man. It's insane. Crazy. Click the like button. Click it right now. Matter of fact, that's our segue, guys. For instance, we finna go to our QR code.
Not clicking the QR code, not using your phone to click that QR code is insanity, because that QR code pops up every single show. But you not using the ability to use your camera, take your camera out and click that code is insanity.
It's a real simple thing like this. Just go to it and just walk into the light. Walk into the light. Click the button.
So I appreciate everybody tuning in today. We had our first lady Keita pop in. We had Mila pop in. We had a few others pop in. Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, and click the bell so you're always in tune when we go live. And when Jones is always dropping those shorts, I got some shorts coming out soon, so make sure y'all be looking out for
I
that.
got time.
Also, make sure you hit us up on the Facebook group, the Extraordinary Men Facebook group, and that's where you can connect with us directly, so we can bring these topics that we talking about. We can discuss them beforehand, and we can bring them live for the world, for the world to tap in with us, and we can have these conversations. Okay, make sure you do that. Not doing that is insanity.
Insane.
Let's go.
Insane is thinking that I look good in the orange shirt. Anyway,
I
that's
got
our time, guys. This is Mike Jones, Phil Jones. Have you know me personally or professionally? Host of the Extraordinary Man podcast, coming to you guys live as always. Got the greatest co-host team right here, the Extraordinary Men themselves, live in the flesh. Marvin, Midas. Don't forget to put the king in the front. Wait a minute. Sorry.
Let's go.
All right, now it's a complete. All right, guys, we out. Thank you. Take it easy, everybody. Enjoy your Saturday. Kiss the